A special in-state battle ahead with the Hokies coming to the Berg. Hey, we're not letting that UConn loss get to us. How is my turkey?
Let go. I mean, it's more. Listen, if you're a Tracy,
Yeah. Wow.
That's how you do a turkey.
I had no idea.
Way to one up
do
me.
that.
The turkey goes for all you hunters out there who know what I'm talking about. It's a cluck.
Yeah.
And then the gobbler goes.
Whoa.
Is there any chance
Whoa.
we could be hearing this on the broadcast this week?
It could happen.
It could happen.
happen.
Yeah, okay.
Well, the Flames are hoping that it's hunting season on Saturday. We'll get to that a little bit later. But going into this time last week, everyone was calling this UConn game a trap game.
Yeah.
And
Starting with our very own Matt Warner.
Yeah, the broadcaster's curse.
Ain't his first rodeo.
I'm not saying it was a bold prediction. We wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, you're definitely not getting any insight from Coach Freeze on Wednesday. Guys,
rodeo.
again, good news. We are broadcasting the game on Saturday. It is going to be
Joe's already
awesome
hyping himself up. I mean, the
pumped.
game it was barely all zeros in the UConn game, and Joe's tweeting out about like, hey, but don't worry.
Oh, I'm not even talking about
Yeah.
that. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just saying
Listen to you.
I am excited.
Listen to you. Listen. There was the reason I did that is you said it best.
We don't need to go into that.
No, listen. This is important.
This is where we get in trouble.
Right? Is that
it's not about us.
It's right. It wasn't, but things were a little bit hectic on the Twitter. We needed to
calm it down. Pump the brakes.
And how better to calm it down than the two voices of reason.
Voice of reason.
I actually do
That's
love
all
this
we're trying to do.
because if you look at Joe Yock's tweet, he actually includes me. Because usually when Matt is posting anything on his Twitter, it's always about him and his
it's the
trusty
character.
set.
Hey, don't let me blame Eli. It's the character limit. If they gave me more,
We gotta get back on
characters,
track. But
and guess what? Guess in my Twitter profile, you're in there.
Thank you so much.
All three of us.
It is exciting
so
because
You tell we're trying to avoid.
I know.
honestly, when was the last time we did a game together? It was because we didn't have BYU.
I don't know. It was a long time ago.
And so you have two road games.
No, Gardner Webb.
Yeah. So it's just going to be exciting to be back on the call on Saturday, and it should be a full house with some.
We'll see if they show up. We'll see how many
Hokies versus Flames fans.
Wait, you don't think it's gonna be a full house?
No,
well, we'll see. We'll see how many Tech fans the way the season has gone for them show up.
Hopefully it's a full house. You know, Coach Freeze saying in his press conference, we need Flames Nation to show up. But let's look back at this game against UConn. Like we said, trap game. What are your guys' first thoughts on the game? Matt, do you want to start with what Hugh Freeze said?
Well, I think I'll get to that. But I think the first thought I had was, and it was confirmed from Freeze and also Josh Aldridge, is defensively, this team was flat at the beginning of the ballgame. And so much of the success this team has had, I feel like, has come from the defense, right? The defensive line especially. And they felt flat. The energy wasn't there at the outset. And they end up falling behind 14-3 to start this ball game. And then you're digging yourself out of the hole. You're here for much of the ensuing rest part of that game. So that was the first part that kind of stood out. Yes, there were the injuries. That's also a factor. You didn't have Mike Smith Jr., Quentin Reese, freak injury in warm-ups that kept him out. So you're down a couple of guys.
Ahmad Walker ejected.
Ahmad Walker ends up isn't around for the fourth quarter, basically. But the defensive line they're the ones that bring the energy, right? Your Kendi Charles, Durrell end up playing all right, but some of those guys, that's kind of where it all starts for that Liberty defense, I feel like. And they were flat early. They end up struggling to stop the run. They end up, they give up 209 rush yards. That was the most Liberty has allowed since UAB in week 2. And so you just got beat at the point of attack. And that was the surprising part to me. I didn't see that coming. And for UConn, a team that can't pass it, hasn't really at all this year. They barely threw for 100 yards in this game. You knew what was going to happen, what they were going to try to do. We still couldn't stop it.
No sacks.
First game all year, no sacks.
First game all year, no sacks. What did you see from the game film?
Well, I saw that UConn, when you watch them, I went back and watched the game, the actual coach's copy game film. I saw that UConn was a very improved, very well coached football team, and I think they're underrated. And I think that on the offensive line, they're big, they're physical, they run the football well. The quarterback did some things that got the ball in his hands quickly, kept Liberty's defense off balance. There were a couple mental errors early by Liberty defensive line. The long run, the really long run early in the game that happened was a miscommunication, a mental error on the defensive line. But overall, I was really impressed by UConn in many ways. Yes, I agree with you. I think there was a little bit flat.
18 missed tackles.
Yeah,
as well.
That's so
I think the
unlike.
loss of Mike Smith was really, really big. The touchdown that was scored late was a wrap-up. It was a wrap-up tackle that he just bounced off of. But if you tackle properly and get your arms around him, you're either going to slow him down enough for somebody else to make the tackle, or you're going to make the tackle yourself, and that play doesn't happen. So the loss of Mike Smith I thought was big. But UConn, there's a couple turnovers that were created.
Yeah.
Liberty defense still created some turnovers. But in many ways, when you look at the Arkansas film on their offense and you look at UConn just played better. They just flat out they physically their linemen know who to block. They do a good job on angles. They did a good job blocking our guys. I thought at many times I do agree it's sluggish to begin with, but the guys were playing hard. I think Liberty's defense was playing hard. I think UConn needs to get a lot of credit. I think they've won 6 games. And they've got a good football team.
And we need to,
Much improved. Jim Moore's a good coach. It's Jim Moore, right?
Yeah.
We need to put this in perspective because the amount of wins that Liberty is sitting here wouldn't be possible without Liberty's defense.
Absolutely.
Like these are rare.
Absolutely.
This is a rare.
That's why this was shocking, because if you go the week prior to, the PFF top graded offensive line in the nation, you got pros on that offensive line for Arkansas, the biggest, best O-line Free says they'd seen since he'd been here at Liberty, and we whipped them.
Yeah.
And then you come to UConn, and now you're saying maybe.
I'm telling you, Arkansas, when you look at the film, Arkansas was they were ready to play that game. They were not ready to play. They overlooked Liberty, and they weren't ready to play the game. That UConn, they're a good football team.
Do you think
better.
Liberty?
It's Liberty. I wouldn't say Liberty didn't. The kids on defense, the players on defense didn't play hard. I felt as if they were flying around and they were trying to play. There were some mental mistakes that got them. A few. Both the long run and then the touchdown. The defensive line, linebacker, they're in bad places on those 2 plays that cost them a lot.
So do you think watching this game, Liberty overlooked UConn?
In a way, maybe.
In a way.
Maybe.
You're coming off of 2 huge emotional
Here's
wins.
the thing. Here's the thing. And this is where it's really hard to become when you're building a program, right? And you're trying to establish a culture within building that program. And Liberty's done that. Coach Freeze has done that, okay? And they established a winning culture. Now, the next step, and which is maybe the hardest step for 18 to 21-year-old young men to be able to do, is to consistently do it through an entire season. That's why in college football, you see so often these head-scratching losses. Teams that shouldn't be losing this week, like so-and-so beat who? For what? How did that happen, right? Because it's very hard to get with the Alabamas, the Michigans, the Ohio States, a team that week in and week out, that they will consistently show up and win every single football and play well every football game. You're always this is all part of the process. And that last part of being consistently on top, consistently winning, may be the hardest.
Which is why almost in every press conference from Hugh Freeze, he reminds us it is hard to win college football games.
Well, it's also hard to handle success.
Yeah.
Right? It's easy when you're a 2-touchdown underdog at Arkansas to feel like we've got to lay it all on the line. Or when you're an underdog at home against BYU. Yeah. Flip the script, suddenly you're the one that is the favorite. Suddenly it's the underdog that is the hungry team trying to knock you off, and it's a little bit different. So Coach Freeze reminding us in his press conference today also that, we need our defense to be playing the way it has all season because we don't necessarily have an offense that's going to be putting up a bunch of numbers. Looking at the quarterback situation from this last game, what are your takeaways? Because, Freeze said that he liked the packages of Salter, but then Salter wasn't really executing those well. Yeah. JB, what were his final numbers? 23 of 37, 201 yards, TD and a pick. I was surprised to see Salter out there, to be honest with you. I thought JB had done enough to kind of solidify, this is my job. Unless I really, really struggle, there's no reason to make a move. And I know Freeze said he had a package for Salter, but then he said, Salter didn't execute it the way we wanted to. He didn't motion a guy when he was supposed to. He didn't see the guy.
But JB had missed opportunities.
Sure. But I guess my thing is, we go back to when Salter was playing before the injury, and he did some great things. A lot of that was kind of unscripted, right? And Freeze, even in the wins, was saying, boy, I need to get him to get on the same page with me in terms of what the offense is. There are plays that are there that are built in. It doesn't all have to be this kind of freelancing style. So I was surprised that him then not playing for 4 or 5 weeks, that then he would throw him out there in those situations. And he even kind of said he still didn't. He still missed some of those things that we need him to see on the field. Obviously, the biggest mistake was the fumble that turned into a scoop and score. And so yeah, JB did not play great. He would say that as well. But I was surprised that they didn't just ride with him and they tried to get maybe a little bit cute at the quarterback position.
I mean, I'm a big JB fan.
Yep.
You know, and I'm maybe a little bit old school, and that is the fact that JB came in the 2 biggest games and with a lot of pressure on him on a national stage, and he did a great job.
No doubt.
And to me, he earned the right to be the guy. You're the guy. Now, with that being said, Coach Freeze, Coach Austin, they know what they're doing, right? So when you say, okay, wait, we got a couple, we're not sitting in that quarterback room, sitting in the game planning, what's going on. But hey, we got a couple packages for Caden. But at the same time, I'm with you from the aspect of he had been sick, he is coming off that injury, and he hadn't a lot of practice time. You're playing in a game like this. JB had really solidified himself the past 2 games. And when I see that, I go, man, I gotta ride or die with JB.
Yeah,
that's me personally.
And you have to remember, the run game was definitely
right. And so if you wanted to, we're thinking like, okay,
here.
maybe we have things to supplement the run game. I guess you could use that as a reason. But Salter wasn't apparently healthy enough to travel to Arkansas the week before.
Right.
He wouldn't
What's
travel.
the rush?
So
and the thing is with JB is one of the areas and where his game is most improved is within his pocket presence to still throw the ball as things start to break down, and then his ability. He's obviously not a some elite runner, but his natural ability to pick his spots and then be able to scoop up in the pocket and be able to take off. And so he does run. He does give you an option in the running game in many ways.
This running game just really hurt with the loss of Day Hunter. He'll be out 6 months. Prayers out to him to heal up quickly. And then Shedro Lewis. Unfortunately, his father passed unexpectedly. So also praying for him. His funeral was on Saturday, so he was unable to attend this UConn game. We should see him here at Virginia Tech or at the Virginia Tech game this Saturday. But TJ Green, now you're handing the rock over to him, and I'm actually pretty impressed with his numbers.
You come out a guy that hadn't had many carries at all on the season. In fact, even just looking, he had 33 carries. He had 24 of his 33 carries came on Saturday.
Yeah.
So yes, he played well.
Free said 58 plays. He was in for 58 plays.
Yeah, he runs for 119 yards and a score, 5 yards a carry. But you could see it down the stretch, and Free said it. He was gassed. He was, and Free said, we've been doing extra conditioning with him. Dom's been working with him extra, but you can't simulate that. You can't practice that. And so that was a shame, the fact that he just wasn't quite himself there at the end. But all in all, you run for 267 yards in this game. So you don't really say, well, if only we'd been able to run the ball. They found other ways. The DeMario 75-yard touchdown run, you found other ways to make that work. And so it's hard to blame the run game. Do give a lot of credit to TJ Green.
Do you like some of those plays that they instilled with DeMario Douglas in the run game?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, he's at another level out there.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you watch a film of him, he's just at another level out there. And then to be able to say, okay, you need that explosive breakaway runner that can take it the distance, and you figure out a way to get involved in the run game. They did a good job with that.
Yeah, definitely want the ball in DeMario Douglas's hands, however you need to do that. Okay, so moving forward this week, Coach Freeze is saying, okay, I just want to see who's going to take advantage of their reps in practice as far as the quarterbacks. But before we get to that, Matt is reminding me there are 2 plays from this game that Coach Freeze mentioned in his press conference that he would change.
Yeah, he said in the press conference, he felt like he called an okay game. He was like, there's 2 plays I would do differently. And so it's like, all right, so what would those be? And it actually was on the same drive. So Liberty, they had the ball. It was 2nd and 1 at the Liberty 45. This is in the 4th quarter. Liberty down by 5 at this point. 2nd and 1 at their own 45. They pass. They try to hit Yarbrough, incomplete. Freeze said, In that situation, I should have, instead of making it, hey, JB, it's an option to run or pass, should have taken the pass out of it, not even given them the option. Run the ball, try to get the first down on second down. They didn't do it. So then it was third down, Malik Caper, stuff for no gain. So you're talking 4th and 1 on Liberty's side of the field. Liberty 45-yard line. Late in this one, but not that late. There was still plenty of time. I think it was like 8 minutes or something left. Freeze elects to go for it. And they end up with a swing pass to Malik Caper. You lost 4 yards on the play. And then UConn scores on the short field. They go up, and that was the final score, 36-33. And Freeze said he would have changed the decision if he could do it over again and punted it, which I would agree with as well. You're leading at that point. And even with the defense struggling, who has been the unit that has been the most consistent, delivered when it counted?
Yeah.
Put it on their shoulders. Yeah. So he should have, and he also said, and if I had gone for it again, I should have drawn up something differently, the play itself. But that was such a huge moment in the game. And again, we talked about it even last week. Sometimes coaches, it seems like more now than anything, and Freeze said in the postgame, the analytics said to go for it. They're so focused on burying the other team, ending it now, making it a 2-score game or whatever, that sometimes I think that outweighs the, but like, number one, does the analytics don't factor in the play call. They don't know what you're going to call.
Right.
And then what's this season been? Like, let's look at this as holistically, right? Who have we been? I want to put it on, even though we call them out a little bit for the start to this game, the defensive line. Late in the game, who's been the unit that has shut things down?
Yeah.
You think about it, UAB. You think about against Gardner-Webb. You think about those games where it's been like the defensive line, end of a game, they've got it done. Yeah, I can see why he thinks he probably should have punted it in retrospect.
But we have to give Coach Freeze some credit, because the fact that a coach would actually not only bring this up,
this is what I love about Freeze.
Admit it and explain what he would have done differently.
How many times, Joe, do you hear coaches in a press conference where someone's like, okay, you made this questionable decision, it didn't work. Would you do this over again? And they say, absolutely, 100 out of 100. And you're like, really? Because it would have failed. It did fail. Why would you do? I wouldn't change a thing. Really?
Well.
Because it didn't work. Freeze, I really appreciate his honesty. And then he says, it did not work. I would not do it again. He's honest, he's transparent, and he's I don't know, maybe humble or aware enough to say that, like, I messed up. I wouldn't do that again. I really, really do appreciate that, because so many coaches would not say that.
Yeah.
They would just say, I'll do it again. We'll line up right now. We'll do it again. Well, that's not a great decision. You know?
Coaches have a tendency to get a little defensive when you ask those type of questions. And so, yes, his transparency and honesty in is very good.
Are you okay, Joe? You've been really
Joe's been
quiet.
down today. Are you?
Give me a
What's
turkey.
What's going on, Joe?
Give me a hoagie.
What are you talking about? I'm sitting here.
If I'm looking for a home loan and I'm looking for somebody to call, it's not this little soft-spoken guy sitting across from me right now. What is going on, Joe?
I don't understand
The Flames Central podcast.
It's one game, Joe.
You know
it's one game. The Flames will be fine.
By Alcova Mortgage.
Flames will be fine.
The Flames Central podcast wouldn't be possible without Alcova Mortgage.
Thank you.
Yeah. What are you powered by right now, Joe?
You need to be powered by something.
I can't believe this.
Let me check your battery pack.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's because I have my golf shirt on. It's a little close.
It's chilly.
Cold.
I saw you had a little
It's
shiver.
cold in studios.
I hope our cameras got that. You did give a violent shiver.
Put my warm winter fall.
Are looking to buy a home.
You know, I have a whole fall collection.
Do you switch over your closet?
No white pants after, what is the day?
Labor Day. Right. Okay, if you are looking to buy a home,
I love my white pants.
Get in touch with Joe Yock. Go to the Google machine.
Get on the Google machine. Joe Yock, Jauca. Look at Jauch.
Oh, wow. I was like,
looking to purchase or refinance a home. I actually got a really good lead.
Yeah, some folks are reaching out.
Folks reaching out to me from the Flame Central podcast.
Awesome, guys.
So I want to say, thank you so much for that. Look forward to more of this.
Keep going to Joe Yock, because we got to keep the Flame Central podcast powered. I'm going to need something from you here at the back end.
You guys coming down hard on me.
Wake up.
Okay, so like I was saying, it will be interesting to see which quarterback is going to take the reins of this team at practice. Because where's Charlie Brewer, you're wondering?
Yeah.
Well, apparently he was throwing a lot of picks in practice last week. Coach didn't feel like he was consistent or comfortable. So we'll
Listen, just stop with all this.
Oh, come on. That's fake. That's fake enthusiasm right now.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. If you had to put your money on it, I don't know if this is a bold prediction or not, Who is going to be under center against Virginia Tech?
There's no doubt. There's no quarterback
Even if Charlie Brewer's coming out hot in practice,
there's no quarterback controversy.
I'm just trying to.
That's why
there's no energy in this podcast this week. I'm just trying to keep the listeners interested.
That's why when JB played the way he played, he's got to be the guy.
Yeah.
And he's playing. He's playing with. He had the one ball that sailed on him. They picked that off, but. I'm telling you, he got to ride with JB and go with him.
And to his credit as well,
go with him.
Yeah, despite Emily's best,
I am trying
you try to go. You bring Brewer,
you
bring Salter, you bring JB. You got Nate Hampton in coming into the game. You got we're going
riding with JB.
We're going with JB
That's it.
The rest of the way.
And here, keep this in mind. Despite what Emily says, that second to last drive when Liberty had the ball.
Yeah.
3rd and 9, JB threw a strike that would have been a first down. Unfortunately, that was the only mistake DeMario made all day long. He couldn't hang on to it. Or else you're moving the chains, you got something going. So, that could have changed everything, this game right there. So don't put, I don't know.
You guys are putting this on me. I'm trying to create conversation because you guys are being super lame today. So I'm just like, okay, well, what's something else to talk about? All right. Well, hopefully the defense will look a lot more like itself this week against Virginia Tech. I don't know what the situation will be on Mike Smith Jr. and Quentin Reese, but they seem to be.
There's a chance they play.
Hopeful, I believe, is what Aldridge said. But just those two guys, their energy and leadership, that was missing on Saturday against UConn. Ahmad Walker will be out the first half.
That concerns me.
That also hurts.
Yeah.
But looking ahead to Virginia Tech, you're like, this team's riding a 7-game losing streak. However, a lot of these games that they lost aren't by many points. And when you look at Liberty's record, a lot of the games that they've won aren't by many points. So Aldridge said in his press conference today that we could very easily have the same record as Virginia Tech if some of these plays didn't go our way.
Well, that's
like Tech.
Total coach speak.
That's
total. That's total.
I'm trying to make this more dramatic.
I agree. I agree. Liberty could be in a different situation. Not the same record as Virginia Tech, but you think about the Gardner-Webb game, right? You think about UAB was tight.
Southern Miss.
Even Akron, the Southern Miss, obviously. Yes. In fact, our boy, Damian Sordelet, which, by the way, I did confirm Sordelet, not Sordelet. I have been saying it right this whole time.
I thought he was French.
Said, because we asked last week, we said, hey, he should look and see teams that have scored exactly 21 points. Liberty was 4-0, scoring 21 points. Has anybody else done that? He said he went through half of college football and couldn't find anybody. So safe to say it's probably Liberty's the one. But you talk about that, and that we go back to the defense again. They have saved Liberty's bacon on more than one occasion this season. But yes, there have been a handful of games that haven't quite broken or have broken for the Flames and been very tough.
I mean, and look at Virginia Tech. I mean, I'll tell you, everybody's hating on Virginia Tech. They were up 21-3 against NC State. Okay.
Georgia Tech too, weren't they?
Georgia Tech, they were up big against them. Almost, I mean, so they have some things that they can look at and be very, very positive. They've got some things that are very bad, but they've got some things that they can be extremely positive about. At Pitt, they were in the game with Pitt, and Pitt pulled away late in the game. The score wasn't indicative of how the game went, but they were right there with Pitt. So, I mean, Virginia Tech's not.
They've been offensively challenged.
Offensively, they're pretty challenged.
A little under 19 points a game, 9 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions.
You know what I'm most excited about?
What's that?
Okay, so when are we doing our call with Coach Pry?
I don't know yet.
It's someday this week. Okay, but
You going to be on that this week?
I'm on it every week, Emily. So don't try to take a shot at me in the podcast. That is undeserved. Okay, right. So that's just not a fair statement.
You are really emotional today.
Yeah, I'm getting. What will you take? When you start taking shots,
one game.
When you start taking shots at me like that, yes, I'm gonna get a little touch bit defensive.
Finally,
Coach Freeze,
so now they're sticking around.
Hey, I make a mistake. I'll own up to it.
That's right.
I got no problem with that. But don't take random shots at me that just don't make sense. Now, here's the thing. I graduated as a Tar Heel, right? But I married a Hokie,
right?
Okay, and I live now in Central Virginia.
Yeah.
So I'm surrounded by Hokies, but I can't get away from it. And then my whole wife's side of the family, it's just Hokie, right? Tech VPI, Virginia Tech Hokie. I hear it all the time. And so I told her this morning, I said, I'm going to be interviewing Coach Pry.
Yeah.
And oh boy, she got Dina Yock's going to be interviewing Coach Pry.
Well, Dina's going to ask
Paul
hard
Stennett,
questions.
her brother's going to be interviewing. So now I got everybody calling. This one, I want to know.
Dina's going to ask the hard-hitting questions.
Her first thing, I said, well, is there something that you would like me to ask him? She said, I've got a whole laundry list. Because she's really into it. Like, she's into college football. She said, I got a whole laundry list. And the first one started with, what the heck is going on?
Well, listen, if anyone remembers Dina talking to the school board a couple years back, I would not want to be on the other side of her in one of her hard-hitting interviews.
Go on the YouTube.
That's all I'm going to say.
And Google Bedford County School Board meeting.
Oh, boy. And then
you'll see Dina. I told you.
I gotta hear about this.
She may be 5'2", but boy, she brought the heat. Don't you mess with the kids.
No.
Don't you mess with the kids.
We're gonna be on the Teams call with Coach, and all these like random numbers just start. Can this join? Can this number join?
It's just Joe's
I'm gonna admit all of them.
It's just Joe's in-laws. Yeah.
I'm sending that out.
Oh my gosh.
Blaster email.
Put it on your Twitter.
If anyone would like to weigh in.
All right. Any other? We have some exciting updates with the Flames fantasy draft, the Flames fantasy league. We'll get to that in just 1 second. Anything else that you?
But what about more Virginia Tech football? We want to talk about this game.
I don't.
Want to talk more about that?
I mean, it's a huge one.
I think it will be very interesting, the fan situation, because it is so close. I think there's going to be some added motivation for Virginia Tech.
It's one of those games where I feel like
students going to stay at all.
That's the question. That's part of the question. I hope they do. The other thing is, this is one of those games that you kind of continue to establish yourself as a player.
Legit.
Right? Yeah. And to those outside of this circle. I think we all understand Liberty's been ranked now, 2 of the last 3 years, that Liberty should get more national respect than they do. But this is, again, one of those games for people that don't know, the casual fan, the national folks that don't pay close attention, to just remind people how far this program has come. And it's not just some little school nestled in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains.
That's how Matt.
This is a player. This is one of the big dogs. And if you knock off, or you're not knocking off, you're a favorite. If you beat Virginia Tech here, I think it was Liberty opened as an 8-point favorite. I think. If you beat Virginia Tech at home, you're just reminding everybody. Yeah. And you're reminding everyone in the region as well that, hey, there's a new player in town. Yeah, right? And this is ours. And that would be, for recruiting. You beat them there, you beat them here.
Yeah. Great for recruiting.
Yeah. They have a lot of recruits coming this weekend.
Yes, there are going to be a lot. Yeah.
There you go.
A lot of official visits.
There you go.
Don't you always open up every broadcast with nestled in the mountains?
I do not open it. Nestled in the foothills of the Blue Ridge.
Javon Scruggs spoke to the media today, too, and he's from this area. He just talked about how special this game is because, he never thought that he'd be playing Virginia Tech at Williams Stadium, which is, we see this issue with scheduling for men's basketball here at Liberty. Like, no one wants to come here to play. The fact that Virginia Tech, Ian McCall got this game for Tech to come here is
huge. Make him regret it.
I just think that this is just big for the city in general.
Well, I mean, for the person, Ian McCall, did he do when he was here when all these scheduling was done?
I'm pretty sure.
Right, so to be able to get this schedule, like to say that, all right, we want to take the program to the next level, we want to go with the big boys, and to be able to get BYU on the schedule, Arkansas on the schedule,
Wake Forest
on the schedule, and now Virginia Tech on the schedule. I mean, that was a big step, and kudos to him for being able to do that, because that's really what's helped elevate the program to the next level. Because hey, as great as it is, but when you got New Mexico State coming in the next week, it's a lot different than what this is. So kudos to Ian McCall on the scheduling.
Yeah, I have a feeling the students will stay.
I hope so.
I think this is a huge game for Liberty. I don't see how.
Listen, you got. If
you're a cool student,
it's a noon kick. Leave in the afternoon. You can still get home for Thanksgiving. What's the rush? Yeah. What's the rush?
All right, so
it's a problem. There's a lot of Yankees here. A lot of Yankee students in there. And they got to go back to Pennsylvania, New York, all those kind of places. So it's a long drive. It's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out.
I mean, we're sitting here telling everyone to go to the game, then no one's gonna be listening to us, but that's okay. You can watch on your Couple notes on men's basketball. They played at Alabama on Friday. And what's our Flames fantasy update?
Yeah, let's jump in.
I had to do pretty good.
Can we go to that? Let's go quickly.
Let's go to that because I don't want to. It's a downer.
This week, Emily, 22.3 points. She was led by Darrell Johnson, who had 16.5. He was the one guy that just carried the load for her. Joe Yock, I believe this is a season record, 68.3. He had DeMario went 68. DeMario went berserk. TJ Green went berserk. Javon did well. I had a season low 13.2. I had, Mike Smith Jr. and Shedro both being out. That didn't feel good.
Could things potentially get interesting?
Oh, my God.
Emily's still in first, 34.4. But Joe is significantly.
334.4.
342. Let's just round it. 342. Joe has moved into second place at 318. He is closing the gap. I have 286. So it's looking, I'm in big trouble.
Great.
But Joe Yock has a chance.
I need to exchange Day Hunter for someone.
It's too late. It's too late. None of us have exchanged all year long. You just got to ride with it. There we go. He's grittying right now. In your face, Joe Yock, the seated gritty right now. Okay, well. So there you go. Hey, real fast. Bold predictions, because I gotta get out of here.
Okay.
Your bold prediction, it was Shedro related, so that didn't work. Caleb Snead, I had him 100 yards and a TD. Joe had Demario Douglas punt return TD. No,
close enough.
But it was pretty close. You had a.
You really are the
rushing
winner
touchdown.
of this podcast.
Your bold predictions have been strong.
You know what? Thank you for trying to win me back over.
I know.
Because it's not going to work.
Flame Central Podcast is powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Prediction?
But I want to hit on, before we get to a bold prediction, men's basketball looking to bounce back tonight against
North Carolina
NC Central.
It's going to be a battle. They're pretty good. They played UVA close. They took App State to overtime. It's at home tonight. I have a feeling Richie McKay getting the boys' attention here the last couple of days. That was the worst loss in 6 years. I don't think that will sit well with Coach McKay. I expect to see a very focused team tonight.
Okay, bold predictions. Looking forward to the Flames bouncing back.
What do you got, Joe?
This is going to be a good season.
You've been dialed in on your bold
high
predictions.
expectations.
A lot of pressure here to nail it.
I'm going to go with... You go ahead. I'm just thinking out loud.
I mean, this is you two.
I'll go first.
No. You two's lack of preparation for bold. I said this on Twitter. The lack of preparation for your bold predictions is glaring.
Who is winning the Flames Fantasy League?
This fantasy or bold predictions?
No, this is
it's
not called the Flames Fantasy. It's the Flames Reality League.
This is bold
Do
predictions.
you know how much?
Can I make my bold prediction? I have to leave. I'm out of time.
Go.
2 tight end touchdowns for the Flames, and they win.
Yeah.
2 tight end touchdowns.
Oh, you're going to pick the Flames to win.
Yep.
He didn't pick BYU. He didn't pick Arkansas.
Okay.
He's just trying to jump on the Joe
I'm going Jonathan
train.
Bennett's going to throw for over 250 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. And the Flames are going to win.
Oh, you're giving the Flames another one. Okay.
Oh, we don't have time for you to
do
the math here.
28-14.
What if she had said he throws for 3 touchdowns and then she said they win like 17-14?
Here's your bold prediction.
No.
Here's your bold prediction. You ready for
Then
it?
I'd be doing play-by-play.
Right.
And I thought about this one.
CBS Sports
and I
Network
thought about
has
this
the
one.
spot.
Here's your bold prediction. Get to the bold prediction.
Yeah, go ahead.
My bold prediction is Rocket Rahimi has 2 interceptions in this game.
Okay.
And finishes the regular season college football as the interception leader.
Wow, that's pretty big deal. Okay,
he's
thank
tied
you so
right now,
much
isn't
for
he?
listening or watching. Anything else before we go?
It's bold. It's a prediction.
Matt's leaving on
It's
us.
bold
We'll see you
prediction.
right back here next week, hopefully after a Flames win.
Wins are more fun.
Flames Central Podcast, powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Yeah. We're going to get Joe on the energy drink before next week. So.
Oh,
That's right.
Patent season.